I mean, it does seem to be the theme of backstage. Oh, Richard, I tell you. What's up, everybody? This is Stay Out of My Fridge, brought to you by Copper Johns, because that's what's on my shirt right now. Make sure you check them out. CopperJohns.com. Use code BEARDLOVE. Save yourself some money. Fill those stockings full of stuff. Speaking of filling stockings full of stuff, joining me, as always, is Yuban Whakinov and Brandon J McDermott. Fellas, we were excited backstage. Probably had a lot of good content back there, but we said let's press it and go. What is up, dudes?
What's good, boys? I just had a good week, and I'm just glad to be with you.
Yeah,
you seem really happy. Like this is the most positive before a show ever. Like he's giving us a pep talk. Like we can run through a wall. He's like, guys, we're gonna have a great show. Like everything's gonna be great. Like let's fucking do this. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
Like if there was ever if I ever needed the reminder in my life that alcohol is just not for me, it's just not my bag. But herbal refreshments are terrific. I went to bed last night at really late, like 2:30 in the morning. And it is, as of time of recording, 9:15 at my time. I believe it's an hour ahead for you. One of my eyes is not open like the other one, and I'm feeling a little off this morning. But before I went to bed, I decided to take a couple of these good chewy things here that I have. And, they are... I've noticed a couple of things. First of all, this morning I'm feeling no pain. But one thing I noticed, too, is sometimes when I'll have, my dosage has always stayed the same, but sometimes when I have some, within an hour, I'll feel it like, all right, here it comes. And then 2 hours in, you're like, all right. But then, like, sometimes it's like 5-6 hours in, and I'm like, wow. Okay, so I thought it activated 3 hours ago. No, this is the one. And this is 6 hours after I went to bed and woke up, so... It's going to be a good show, boys and girls.
It is.
I love when that aftershock happens. You know, you're like, oh, okay, this is what it's supposed to feel like. I'm having a good time. Everything is wonderful. And then that delayed reaction of it's like a Mike Tyson punch. You're just like, where is this from? I didn't eat another one somewhere, did I? Like, what the hell is happening?
Knowing you probably did.
Reality. See, that's where I'm always... So I'll put it away. I'm like, hey, there's 6 more in here. So that way, whenever I question it, I go, there's 6 more in here. But then I think to myself, I was like, but was that after eating the additional one, or was that the first one? You know? I'm like,
do they make an app for that? So you can track like your dosage, like, all right, I'm going to put this in here, had 1 at this time. That way you have a little bit of accountability. So next thing you know, when you're all, barely moving, you're feeling like a turtle laying on the ground and nothing's working, and you can grab your phone and go, oh, that's why. If there's not, we should write that down. That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Did we just become millionaires? I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of great ideas that we've had, whether we're making content, whether we're coming up with great ideas that already exist. Except for years ago, when we came up with the idea about the poop map, and I still want to rate my poop, and everywhere you go. Thankfully, I'm on the poop map now. Even though Yuban still won't be my friend on the app, but if they're listening, they really need to hit us up because we talk about it a lot. There's something that I do want to talk about that I don't know if you guys saw. I think you guys probably did, and I feel like this could be an interesting point of conversation. Did you guys see the Paul Biz, Big Dizzy, the NHL star, Paul Bissonnette, Bissonnette? He's one of the dudes on Spittin' Chicklets from Barstool, the sport. He's a retired NHL player. Did you guys hear about this story? Oh, Brandon, you're gonna like this. I think Yuban did because I threw it in the group chat. So this guy lives out in Arizona. He goes to this place, Houston's, I believe, is the name of the place in Arizona. Why it's a little bit more confusing, and was just out. Gets a salad there 4 to 5 days a week. Looks over, place is busy. It's a pretty upscale place, and he noticed that this group of guys are kind of, getting a little out of hand, look to be drunk. They're getting pissed because you can't just get alcohol unless you have a seat. You can't just go in, grab some drinks, stand around. There's no places for these guys to sit. And then they start to get confrontational with the staff. And he's like, these are my people. I know it. So he kind of goes over there. Well, he does go over there and is more or less like, hey, like, calm down. Let's everybody calm down. He said he kind of looked at him and knew like he's ready to fight. All right. And more or less, he says, I forget the exact quote, but he said something like, well, if you want to take this outside, let's go. And the guy did not wait for him to go outside. Kind of pushed him, threw him, whatever. So they get him outside. Not 1, 2, 3. There's about 9 guys in this party that are now chasing him. And he knows that he can't take all 9 of them. So he's backpedaling. And there's a couple of fists, this and that. All of a sudden, like, they get him to the ground. There's dudes that are kicking him as hard as they can, throwing punches. He gets back up off the ground, backpedals some more, gets to, I think, a CVS, calls the cops. They go away. And turns out, an hour and a half before this, these guys assaulted staff at another place, a golf course, because they cut them off and they were closing at 6. I mean, there's video footage of all of it. And it is wild. I'm going to try to pull up some video footage, but it's an unbelievable story. But then, because he went on your favorite show, the Pat McAfee show, and was being interviewed and stuff about this. And it turns out, like, there's probably more to the story. They think they started to uncover things. These guys go from town to town, apparently, or allegedly, and scam people. And they use fake military IDs, pretending that they're, ex-military to get discounts on stuff. And I think there's, like, different chapters or whatever they are, because I thought I heard something about the Texas chapter was, like, super pissed. So I don't know if they accidentally uncovered something wild, or maybe it was a runoff thing, but apparently, yeah, they were terrorizing this town, other towns, just beating the crap out of people. And Paul more or less said, hey, you know what? I'll get all the charges dropped on this one guy if he's man enough to step in the ring with me. And you can see, like, they're like, oh, you got one shot. He's like, oh yeah, pull up his mugshot. So I'm gonna try to find the mugshot, and you could just see, like, he got a couple good ones.
That's wild. That's a wild.
So here's the video footage from Diario AS on the YouTubes here. Let me share this. It is, dude, just an unbelievable story. Here, check this. I don't really know that there's sound, so this probably isn't going to be the greatest thing. It's just a bar camera, the standard one, kind of like the not even 4K. But here he is right there. He just comes over. This is him, like, hey, what's going on? That's him right there. In the gray, you can see this kind of pushing. All right, where he's on the defense, gets 1 or 2. Then you don't see, they pushed him into a statue, I guess, that's over here. And this is wait staff. They just knocked this person over, a woman. She's mad. Can't blame her. And I don't know if they have the footage on this as well, but then, yep, here it is. Here's the door cam. So as you come up here, this guy's going to hold the door for everybody coming out. You see, and this whole entire fight then comes rolling out at some point. But what's crazy is, too, before this, look at, there's a guy with a baby. Zoom. Super dad. Look at this door guy, though. It's like, come on, guys. Let's get the fight out of here. You can see him. Right there. Those are the guys chasing him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pat McAfee said that's probably the boss because he's just slowly walking. So this is the parking lot. You can now see him still backing up way up here. See him? Just going back. They're still chasing him. Good thing he stays in shape. Still backing up. Like, come on. He's starting to get away from the pack. The old guys are. This guy in the green seems to be like the biggest kind of douchebag of them all. He's the one that assaulted at the other place. This guy's here is trying to sneak in a little bit, it looks like.
Trying to get him on the flank.
Stop it. Of course, he's got no shirt on because they ripped it. They threw him into a statue and it ripped his shirt.
Do you know what's great about this? This is just a reminder to all of you that when you're in public, you are on camera. Because look at all this.
Always.
Look at this.
Look at that sweet bike, though.
By the way. Sick bike.
Yeah. Look at the guy in the green. I mean, he's got him more or less one-on-one now. You know he wants to do something. And in the interview, he's like, you might want to stop. I'm telling you, you might want to stop. I think this is when they get him on the ground, maybe. But whatever happened, too, at one point, right before they get him on the ground, I don't know if that footage was there, because I think that's the CVS, and they all start backing up because he goes into the store and calls the cops and stuff.
What's their bag? What's their thing? He's the trick, or, the mark. What are they...
So this Paul guy is the only reason they went after him is because he confronted him. Oh, right here, look at, see how they're all running?
Yeah.
And they're coming at him. This is when they get him to the ground. there was another guy that he blasted and knocked down.
Camera guy loses here. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, this is some surveillance still. So right there they go, now watch this guy in the red. Boom, boom, boom. Just kicking, throwing kicks. I mean, they got him down. Thankfully, he gets back up. And they're like, he got me a couple of times. But apparently he had not.
Speaking of beat the shit out of somebody.
That's crazy.
That's wild,
isn't
man.
it?
And that's
so like my point is like what's their game? What are they doing this for? Like they're traveling to rob people? Did they know they're doing it to somebody famous? Like what's the shtick?
That's a good question. I'm gonna look it up.
I mean, because like when I first heard it, my thought was not to completely hijack the conversation, but my thought was, see, if you're famous in public nowadays, you better make sure you have good security. And so, you're going to see, because what was the video I saw? There was a video I saw last week or a couple days ago of a rapper. No, it wasn't a rapper. It was fucking Floyd Mayweather. Did you see that thing?
Look at this. These are
This is
sorry to
fun.
go. Look at these were the
No,
mugshots
you're
of
good.
the guys. That's the one guy in the green. There's one guy that he popped. Those guys, those dirtbags. I did not see the Floyd Mayweather.
So he was. There was an attack in an angry mob in London. And attacked by a vicious mob in London. Okay, so apparently it doesn't matter what it was about, but apparently some are saying it was about his support for Israel, and of course, big population over there in London, especially that are supporters of Palestine. Whatever, that's good, bad, or otherwise. I don't have a dog in the fight there, but it's just like when I see that, I'm like, this is Floyd Mayweather, who probably should have the best security in the world, and you shouldn't be out in public late at night when you could be surrounded by a mob, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like, you're going to start seeing like, I don't know. I'm not trying to get with, here's the headlines and it's an actual trend line. It's going to show what's going to happen because it's an isolated incident or 3 isolated incidents, I guess, in this case. But potentially, if I was rich, I would be like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to do much in the future. Not be in public. I'm going to go stay in my island, and I'm going to have people go out and do the work for me. I'm not going to get out here with these peasants. That's what I would say.
What's crazy is he said that almost every single night when he goes, there's 2 or 3 of them, him and 2 or 3 buddies. And he goes, if that was the case, this would never be a story. This would have ended right there. We would have beat the shit out of these guys.
Yeah.
And he goes, it just happened to be the one night. I just tried doing the right thing. And I mean, they're lucky. I mean, those dudes got some shots in. I mean, this guy, 39-year-old ex-NHL guy, he picked the wrong place, wrong time. But imagine if this was in Texas, down in Burleyville. There's probably a lot of other things that are going to happen because there's a lot of guns I've heard in Texas.
Oh, there are.
Just a few. I mean, maybe a couple. I don't know if you guys realize, but it says P.
Jesus Christ.
Pointing to the sign behind him, I was like, "What?" I wasn't looking right at the screen to see that, and I still had Burley on my mind. Remember when he would podcast when he was drinking, he would always pee in a bottle.
Oh,
I just heard you say, "Look, it says pee," and I was expecting to look over and see you have a pee bottle. I was like, thinking that was a little weird.
Like I gotta
So-
move a little bit.
Texas has the most guns out of any state, estimated 1,005,000 guns.
Wow.
In a state of 29 million people, which I actually think is a lot lower than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be at least, like 1 gun for every 2 people. But Florida's in second place, 500,000 guns.
Florida. Interesting. Bingo. Yeah, I was trying to find more about that, and I don't want to just let the show drag on. Maybe we'll come back next week with an update on there. Like I said, it was just something that the Pat McAfee show had. They clipped it into just kind of one article, and Paul just went nuts. Called them out, called the lawyers out. Apparently, the lawyer's son is sending a whole bunch of DMs to people, telling them to eat a bag of dicks,
I saw
and
that.
just and like I said, apparently, what they said was more or less that they were going town to town and scamming people, whether they were going to door on some kind of scam. Like I said, I a quick Google search didn't bring a lot of that to light, so I'm not sure if that's all public information or whatever. But either way, it's a wild story. I couldn't imagine being such a dirtbag and doing that. Holy cow! But the footage, if you ever get bored or anybody listening wants to go check out the footage, the one at the golf course or the country club before that was wild too. I mean, that dude in the green was throwing haymakers at staff. At one point, even like hit one of the staffs and like ended up clipping a female. I mean, there has to be some. I'm sure this person's one of the police charges. I think said there was at least a 6th-degree felony and some other stuff from the incident. So,
and people don't realize, like when you're in public, I mean, most people do realize, I guess, but when you're in public and you intentionally hit somebody, that's clearly, you know that you're going to get in trouble. But if you're in public and you intentionally try to hit somebody and miss and hit somebody else, at the very least, you're negligent and you still have to pay for that, for lack of a better term. Pay for your negligence, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So stupid. Be careful. Don't do dumb stuff.
Drugs are bad.
That's what we try to teach the kids, right? Just be good. Don't do dumb things. Don't want to see you in the news. Don't want to hear you on the news. Don't want to pick you up on bail. At least that's what my parents told me. It's like, we don't have a lot of bail money, so don't do stupid shit.
I want to show you guys something real quick here. So this is a list of gun ownership by state. Let's see if I can zoom in here so you can see the states a little better. So, you know, you have all the small ones, North Dakota, Nebraska, New York's in here, you know, you got Missouri, you got all the other states. And as we scroll up the list, Texas, holy shit.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, Texas has a lot of guns.
I'm surprised with the California one.
Well, me too, actually. Yeah, 100%.
What's crazy about this, though, this is the number of registered guns. Yeah. So if there's 1 million registered guns in Texas, how many unregistered are there?
Right.
Interesting. What was the lowest one on that? Did you still have that open?
Yes, I do. Lowest one on that was Rhode Island with less than 5,000 guns. The lowest 5 are Rhode Island, Delaware, Hawaii, Vermont, Maine.
I was going to say, it's probably a little harder to get guns and stuff in Hawaii, right? Unless they had some kind of, obviously, ship them in or fly them in or manufacture them. I can't imagine there's a lot of gun manufacturers in Hawaii.
3D printers.
I
didn't say that.
No, I didn't hear anything. What you talking about? Yeah. Man, you guys ready for the old Christmas? I was kidding around with the family that we were going to ditch Christmas and jump on the Hanukkah celebrations. I hadn't really looked into it before. I mean, the biggest thing for me was Hanukkah, Adam Sandler. So I was singing all the Adam Sandler song, trying to pump them up. I even made a cake and said, hey, here's last night. Because cakes, you can buy a box cake and frosting for like $4 and let's say $4.20 because it's a funny number, right? And
I love it.
You can't even buy a bag of Oreos. You can make a full cake for like $4. And if you want to go buy like a bag of cookies or something like that, it's $5-6. So I'm like, I'm gonna buy a cake. We're gonna celebrate Hanukkah this year. And they're like, what? I was like, you get to party from sun up to sundown for 8 days and exchange presents for 8 straight days. And then it led into a conversation where like, yeah, but we don't celebrate the religion. I go, we don't go to church and celebrate Christmas. I go, every holiday is religious or political. No, it's not. I go, really? Name me one. They go, Easter. Nope, that one's pretty religious. Really? And maybe it's me being a bad parent, not educating the kids enough, but I feel like that's why they go to school, right? And then they're like, President's Day, political. What? It's the president's. Moving on, and they just named all the holidays, and I'm like, huh. And they're like, yeah, I guess it is. And I guess I never thought about it. I was just being a smartass, and I'm like, it's all about religion and politics, and then they just commercialize stuff, you know?
Everything's about making money. That's capitalism at its finest, baby. But yeah, no, that's my wife has to do the Christmas party for like she's like one of the classroom moms, so she has to organize the craft event at the holiday party. And so I told her, I was like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. And some of these moms are like super religious, and I was like, just don't make anything like a cross. I was like, just don't. And I was like, don't buy into it. And she's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, well, it's not a Christmas party, right? I was like, it's a holiday party. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I was like, play the dreidel game and see their heads explode. I was like, just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
And she's like, well, that would actually be kind of fun. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they're learning something new. And I was like, bada bing, bada boom. And you also get to annoy the extremely religious Christian neighbor that we have. And I was like, I may even take a day off of work. Let's have fun together.
You know what? I'm signing up to be there for you.
I don't want you to have to do this alone. You know?
We had a show, segment on the show about candy canes and the history of candy canes and when they were created. And somebody in my Facebook chat said, "You know the religious origins of the candy cane, don't you?" And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure you're. So I looked it up, and listen, I'm a Christian. I don't care if you are or whatever. I live my life by actions and not by words. But they looked it up, and they're like, the white represents purity, and the red represents the blood of Jesus. And you certainly may have like taken that on after the fact, but it was never originated like that. And I'm not one to dispute it because I think it's not a good message or whatever, but just the facts are the facts, right?
Wasn't it to keep kids quiet in church and shit? It was like legit sugar. The only reason I remember I was doing like beard history where I was doing those weird transitions through my beard and doing facts and stuff. I think I remember doing one on a candy cane. And I think the origin, it was like 1600s that they made these sugar sticks to hand out to the kids to more or less get them to shut up during services.
I didn't see that. It certainly could be the case, but I don't know. But one thing that's funny about, you talked about religion and holidays. I just said holidays, and I'm thinking about Eggs Benedict Hollandaise right now. Jeez. That sounds so good, dude. Oh my God, it sounds so good.
That does.
A little egg yolk and some vinegar.
Ooh, the yolk is no joke.
Yeah, I know it. But go ahead, Yuban.
Your memory is correct. I asked old Google here, and it was to keep kids quiet at church. That's why it was invented.
Look at that. So, but when it comes to religion, specifically Christianity and Christmas or Easter, they stole those holidays from the pagans. And I don't mean that stole in the like current sense of like they stole it and they cheated. No, they became the dominant religion, and they was like, you know what? We don't want pagans to be pagan anymore, so we're going to make the pagans want to be us now, and so we'll try to do stuff that the pagans did, and it worked wonders. There ain't no more pagans anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like that religion is gone.
Big gulp. So, huh? See you later.
But to your point, like there's so much not to make the show about religious symbolic, whatever the word is.
Big word is.
Like the Christmas tree, right? The Christmas tree represents, this evergreen, hardy tree that grows through all seasons, that it represents life, and it leads to the heavens, right? And we decorated. That wasn't always the case, right? It was a pagan thing. Why do we use the Easter bunny? Why is there eggs for? Well, there's some religious beliefs in that too, specifically with not with purity, but with rabbits tend to a lot and have lots of babies. Yeah. That kind of like what's the word I'm thinking of? Fertility. That's the one.
Hey.
So anyway, lots of different religions, lots of different holidays, and most of them do have religious or political undertones, as Matt said.
Man, every Christmas, all I do is I'm not a praying man, but I just pray that I can pay off the bills before the interest rates hit me on the credit card. Because, goddamn, we try not to go too crazy. I think I've said it before on the show, so I'm not going to go there too hard. But we legit try to do as much as we can locally, and we go thrift shopping for Christmas presents for family and stuff like that. And it's just, not only is it fun, and the kids, they enjoy the hell out of it. Do we have to drive 45 minutes one way to find a decent thrift store? Yeah. Is it a college town, so it's mostly super old people stuff that pass on, or college kids looking for some money? Yeah. But the biggest thing too, like the other day we found a board game that was an original 1986 board game. All the pieces, everything, great condition. And I'm like, we got a crazy board game collection. But man,
we have a lot of board games too, and I'm a sucker for a good board game. And during Max's, or whatever his alias is, little show, that we were ranking a few board games, and I was surprised at some of the results of what they were picking. We were only given 5 options, but we had to rank those. And I found out that people either love or hate Monopoly. Like there is no middle ground on it. And I told them, I was like, you either suck or you're really good at it, and that determines who likes it.
And I think it depends who you play versus. You know what I mean? If you're playing against the kids and you just destroy them, like that's one game that I just refuse. But again, I'm in a house. I'm the only one that likes it. I'm in a house full of haters of Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine us, the boys. We should. Oh, we couldn't do it. I was going to say you could do the virtual game. Imagine us on say Body Rung or something having a Monopoly night. We sit down and play virtual Monopoly.
And
that would be actually fun, dude. That sounds like
very fun. I would totally be down.
Write that down.
See, that's what even there's Uno too, and Uno is ruthless, dude. And every time before, like I will shuffle the cards and I get ready to deal it out to kids, friends, whoever. And I'm always looking. I'm like, are we stacking? Because I'm like, hey, this determines who I knew, like who you are as a person. I'm like, are you? If you allow it, you're my type of people. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see kids cry. I want to see grown adults cry. I want to see that draw 2 get hit on me. Someone point laugh at me and go, ha, you got to draw 2. And I'm like, do I? Richard, draw 4.
Yeah. And what's funny is I'm glad that you do it before or as you're dealing, because Uno, I saw it on Twitter or X, however you call it. I think recently that they actually came in with a post and said the official ruling is you cannot play a +2 on a +2. I'm like, I don't like that, Uno. You might have lost a fan in me. That's a lie. I'm still gonna play.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, whoever announced that was clearly on drugs, and they don't know what they're talking about, because the rule is you stack. Okay.
There are so many variants of Uno now. I mean, I don't know if you have any of the newest one. I didn't see it. I know my brother and sister-in-law and all them, because my daughter went over there to play, and they had like the newest one, and she was like, it is unreal. Like, it's wild, Dad. And I'm like, what do you mean? It was all these different. I mean, at one point, I think somebody had to draw like 20 cards or something crazy like that. And I guess, and I think it was the youngest kid, and got so pissed and quit, like rage quit. I'm like, that's what I want to see. I want to see our youth rage quitting, because how many times did you see a good rage quit in our day? Whether it was a board game, a card game, a video game.
Dude, I remember playing WrestleMania with one of the first ones on Sega, dude. And I was beating my uncle in the game I was 6 years old for the first time. This runs over the console and hits reset as soon as it does. I was like, you son of a bitch. Like somehow in my mind, like, I didn't win because he hit reset before. And he was like, yeah, man. Like, you literally just lost and then acted like a little bitch. And I'm 6 years old and you're like 35. You know, like.
Now you, as an almost 35-year-old, if you are losing to a 6-year-old, would you potentially press the reset button?
You bet your ass I would. And also, one other I remember is I was older. I was about I was about 12 or 13. No, I take it back. About 14 years old. Doesn't matter. But I was playing Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on the Super Nintendo. And this was like 2000, 2001. So this is like 6-8 years after it was made. Still the best baseball game of all time, by the way. And was beating my stepdad. And like, it was one of those tight games, back and forth. And he throws the controller down. The whole system comes rumbling down, skips, and like it's like messed up, like pixelated screen.
Who was your team?
The Braves.
I'm 99% sure I have that game still in my collection over here. I was gonna go get it, but I'm like, I can see my Super Nintendo games. I just can't see the titles. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. But
it was one where the second one was good, but it wasn't as good as the first. Yeah. But that Ken Griffey Jr. baseball was.
I think I had both. There was one where he was swinging, and I think the ball was on fire, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he was wearing the green
hat backwards.
Yeah, I think one of them was backwards, but one of them was straight. I thought, but he was wearing like, it had like the green, but then the dark blue sleeves. Maybe let me go look. Hold on.
There's one where he's like kneeing down. That's the Super Nintendo one, and then there's one. Here, I'll pull up the Google images. Ken Griffey Jr. baseball. There's a couple of different ones. You got this one here, the collector baseball card, free inside, and then you had this. I mean, how could you not do the iconic swing on the cover? I mean, take a home run derby one, maybe. I didn't realize it was on the Game Boy.
Dude, I've got an emulator. I can still play it. like, no, I don't. I take back. I don't have an emulator. You remember those like redos they did of the little Super Nintendos and all the other ones that they redid? Look at that.
Oh, there we go.
That was the second one, wasn't it? Winning Run. Yeah, that was the second one.
Dude, so I was dead on how I remembered it about with the fire and the ball. But this is even the grocery store I used to go to as a kid. I mean, you can
Jesus.
You rented it, and then eventually you bought it or whatever. But yeah.
What's the warning on it? It says warning.
Oh, do not leave in sun or dash of car.
That's pretty wild that they had to put that on there.
Yeah, that's wild.
Of all of the games that you probably could get away with actually doing that, I feel like that's a cartridge that could hold up in a car dash or potentially. If anybody... nobody. I've seen our demographics. Nobody younger is listening to this and being like, what does a Super Nintendo cartridge look like? Isn't it funny, though, what our brains remember? I mean, you remembered Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run cover of this, and I mean, there's probably some days you can't remember one of the kids' birthdays, allegedly.
Exactly. You know what? I can't remember if I've taken my I had to get one of those old school. I think I mentioned this before, but the pill containers that has like each day listed because I would I'm really bad about it. I'll take my medicine early in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I took it, and then an hour and a half, I'm like, did I take my medicine today? And I'm like, ooh. And I was like, well, I guess we're just going to be double good today. Let's just go ahead and take them again, And the really bad thing is at lunch, I'm like, I didn't take my medicine today, I don't think. And I'm like, God damn.
Now it's too late in the day. Is that the first sign that you're getting old, potentially, is when you get the pill counter? Or is there another sign where you're like, man, I'm official? Because I'm going to be 40 this year. And I've been thinking like, man, it's kind of a weird thought, but it's like, you know what? This could be the halfway point. Maybe this is when I do the midlife crisis. Like, if I make 80, that's pretty good.
Yeah, some days I'm like, what did I eat for breakfast this morning? Did I eat breakfast? Like, knowing damn well, my fat ass ate breakfast,
Is it something in your brain being like, man, something sounds good. I'm going to convince myself I didn't eat breakfast so I can have a little.
Because I mean, I'm also guilty of I will eat something, then granted, I'll go smoke, and then I don't know, it'll be like 2 hours later, and I'm like, I'm gonna go eat. And I'm like, I haven't even eaten anything all day. It's okay. I'm gonna go and treat myself to something. And then as I'm eating something, I go, damn, I just had that sandwich before. It's like I did eat today. I was like, fuck, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna continue to do it anyways.
I saw a meme style post on Instagram or X or somewhere, it doesn't really matter where it is, and it was a handwritten sign that was inside a refrigerator that said, "You're not hungry, you're just high." It was and somebody put like, "This is how I have to remind myself to stop eating so late at night."
So I even got called out yesterday at the we were decorating cookies for Santa, and we were at the brother-in-law's house, and
so you're on the nice list. That boy.
I'm always on the nice list. They can't catch me slipping ever. I'm a good enough bullshitter to talk my way out of it. But I walk into his shop and he asked me immediately. He's like, "Hey man, there's a gummy in there if you want one." I'm like, "Ooh, I already took some. I'm good." But I was like, I might change my mind a little bit. 2 minutes later, I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll take one." Sure. Didn't realize they were 25s, and I'm already rolling deep. And I'm like, "Damn, I thought these were just going to be." Because he usually doesn't go very hard. So I'm thinking these are like 5s, 10s, no big deal.
He's showing off for the Christmas season. He's like, look at this flex. I'm a big boy now.
Yeah. I was like, oh, and they were like sour mellow. They were even good tasting. I was like, oh, this is delicious. I eat one, and 2 hours later, I even told him, I was like, hey, man, if I try to grab another one of these, remind me. And he goes, okay.
Just like when you're putting your hand in the cookie jar and grandma goes, no.
Yes, exactly. Like, you're going to spoil your appetite. You're like, no, I don't give a fuck about this appetite. I can still eat dinner, trust me. But I guess apparently it wasn't even 45 minutes later. I'm like looking at him like, hey, remember that gummy you told me I can get? And he goes, yes. And I'm like, I think I'm going to take you on that. And he goes, you already did, you dumb. I'm like, no, I didn't. I was like, you're lying to me. And I was like, you're lying to me. And then, of course, like, there's other people there. And then they also got to witness it from the beginning. And they're like, no, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, I'm smarter than all of you. You guys are all wrong. And I'm like,
where's the video evidence? I've seen 2020.
That's what I told him to. And I was like, I went to go take a piss outside. You guys all came up with this story because you think you're going to catch me slipping. And I was like, first of all, I was like, how much have I mean, I've offered you my stuff every time you've been over my house. He goes, yeah. So I offered it to you as soon as you walked in. And I'm like, you did. I'm like, oh, okay, you did. But I was like, but I haven't had one yet. And he goes, he's like, you literally turned around and got it. And I'm like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm still not convinced. I think they got one of those devices like the Men in Black, and they've somehow convinced me.
Did it hit you at some point though? Like, were you like, all right?
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, the car ride home was honestly like that's. I was a passenger princess, which I rarely get to be, and I'm just sitting there. I got my little vents on, got my heated seats on. I'm feeling good.
I got a lap full of Christmas cookies. I'm trying not to eat because I've already had 30 of them.
I did have some Christmas cookies, but this one we had some chili that was so good.
No wonder why you're on your third shit today.
Oh, that's right. Damn, I forgot I did destroy. So there was Frito scoops and Frito the strips, the regular Fritos, and I'm like, oh snap! I'm like, So I was toasty mentally, physically, and my belly was so full. I went with scoops. I was sitting there, and the only thing I didn't have, I was like, man, am I a criminal? Am I gonna go straight from this crock pot, just going straight in, or is there a bowl? So I asked the kids, I'm like, hey, is there the paper bowl still in here? They look everywhere. Couldn't find one. So crock pot it was.
I mean, that's what scoops are made for, right?
That's why.
It's not like you're double dipping scoops, because I mean, we're all men. We can take a scoop in one bite. We're not. That's what they're made for.
And see, some asshole left out the crock pot and didn't put it away. Fucking terrible. I didn't.
There was just Frito crumbs and chili everywhere around it. It was like somebody scooped it and just missed it and just couldn't find the water. You know what? If you can't find a bowl in a house, what are the chances you're going to find a paper towel or a napkin or a washcloth or whatever they use? I know. Do the people have a dog?
They do.
Yeah. So the dog made out all right.
See, that's what I was like, too. I was like, no. But I don't think I missed a lot. I was, but in the car, the one thing that I did notice is this morning there was a brown spot on the seatbelt. So I didn't get any on my clothes, but the seatbelt was not safe.
Is that the hoodie you wore? Because it looks like there's some right on your left shoulder.
You're not going to catch me slipping.
Son of a... I was like, there's no way I'm not getting him with this one.
Nope. Because at first I was like, whenever I was telling the story about it, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't. And I was like, nope. So that's why I was already prepared.
Son of a bitch. Did you look through their fridge to see if they had any old stuff? Because I'm noticing that when I go to other people's houses, now that's my move. I'm like, can I grab something? Or I'm just going right to their fridge. And they're like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm just trying to see if you got any old shit in your fridge for the show. And most of the people I go to, obviously, it's either family or friends. And they're like, well, I'm like, this is some content. I got to find something funny in there. And most of them, though, it's most of the family and the friends that I have, like, they actually clean their houses really nicely. They must clean out their fridges. I'm like, I wonder why people don't come to my house. I don't give a shit about all that.
So, go ahead to you.
This is the same people that didn't have gravy for Thanksgiving that one time. And they never have any like pop besides root beer. And I'm not a root beer fan, except for unless I'm having a float, So I had my own drinks. So I had no need to get into the fridge. So unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to look. But my bad, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I don't know why this piqued my zing, the synapse in my brain of remembering something like as crazy as this. But I had a friend who was a college buddy about 8 years ago, and I was a non-traditional student, so I was older. I was already 30 when these kids were like 20. 21, 22. And, but he was an old soul, good kid. We're not friends anymore, just distance, whatever it happens. But I remember him sitting down at the bar with me and saying, anytime I go to somebody's house, I pee in their sink. And like, he wasn't saying it like he was like whispering it to me. Like he didn't want anybody else to know. It was just a nonchalant thing. Like he felt like he was, and on one side I was like, okay, cool. On the other side, I'm like, how slobbish and Slavonish do I have to be for him to feel like he can share this shit with me? Like, do I look like somebody who pisses in sinks? And then I thought to myself, like,
yes.
Did he come to my house? One, no, he didn't. B, what else are these weirdos doing in my house? And C, maybe I should try that.
My God, if that's the move, like, is that the ultimate marking your territory or something? It's like a dog that has to pee higher than the other one and lift the leg a little bit higher. Why would you piss in the sink of all?
I just think of the splatter. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever pissed in the sink ever in your life?
Yes.
Let's start with that.
No.
That's a yes. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. One of my buddy's favorite moves was when you're at a concert or a busy show, and usually where the concerts we would go to punk shows or something like that. They're not nice places, and there'd always be a long line for the piss and it was always there might be a urinal, there might be a stall, then there's a sink. And I'll never forget one of the first times, pretty young. My buddy walks over and walks right in front of the line. What are you doing? You can't go in line. He's like, there's another toilet open, dude. Sink's open. Turns on the water and just starts pissing in the sink. And now you have 3 lines that have formed every other person. Because let's be honest, how many dudes that are at this nasty bathroom are really going there? Most of those guys that are taking a piss are walking right out. They're not using the sink to wash their hands. I'm pretty sure there wasn't even a soap dispenser in this bathroom. So, hey, that line got through a little bit quicker.
Criminal. That's criminal. But brilliant.
I'm not going to lie. I've never done it at a person's house. I think that, like, if I have to do it at a dingy, you know what I mean, like a concert venue or something.
Speaking of being at other people's houses, whenever I'm in their bathroom, one thing I always do is not do, but I do check to see what kind of soap they have, because I have a friend who here's my thought process. I've got a theory that there is a line of you're poor, and I mean like within, you know what I'm saying, you're not well to do. Yep. If you've got bar soap, or if you've got like the really cheap dollar soap, dollar store soap, you know what I'm talking about. That, like,
oh yeah,
God knows what flavor it is. Like flavor, I guess is the wrong term. What scent this is? Hey, don't judge me.
No judgment free since '83, baby.
I went to this friend of mine's house, and I'm like, you know what? They're on the line of being upper middle class. Let's see what kind of soap they have. They had watered down their soap, and I felt like I went to a restaurant and found out they had watered down their ranch. I was just as mad. I was like, these poor people. How dare you cut corners to your guests in your guest bathroom like this? You know.
So it's a strict guest bathroom.
Oh yes. So it's the bathroom. Like, you come in the hallway. It's the first on the right. You know, everybody uses that one. And for the record, bar of soap here. That's what I got.
We do whatever we go to, like a DG or a place like that, and they got those dollar soaps.
Those big
bottles. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
If we find one of those, ones that are clear and they sometimes have the fish logo or whatever for $1, then we're going to reuse that. And then we'll get the big jug to refill the dollar soap. And I'm not going to lie to you. We put the water in it. We watered that shit down too. But we don't have a straight guest bathroom, so we're using it. We got the one bathroom that is on the first level, and that's where our master bedroom is, and it's the washing room, the litter boxes. It's where we get ready as adults. And you go upstairs, and it's the big, nice bathroom that the 3 kids share and never clean and destroy. So those sons of bitches, because it was the master-ish bathroom until we moved our room down. But
so yeah, I guess that begs the question: what do you notice in somebody? I mean, like, within reason, like they have a boat in their garage, wolf, obviously. But what is small thing are you noticing in somebody's house that tells you that they feel comfortable with their money?
Ooh,
and I don't mean like I said, like he's got a 4x4 in his garage, that he rides around his territory, or his land, his acreage, like not that kind of shit.
The first thing that pops in my brain is what they put out for a spread. Because a lot of times when we go over, you know what I mean? Like, everybody brings a little something, and you can always tell that some people, they try a little bit harder, and then, or like sometimes they cut a corner. Like, if you go in, like me, I'm just going to be like, oh shit, I got to get up some beer anyways. Cool, I'm bringing a bag of chips. They're probably like, this guy's poor. I mean, podcasting is clearly not the move in life. And, some people, they might bring, somebody brings over, say, some brisket or something, a little bit like that. You're like, oh, God damn, good for you. But typically, just a brick of cheese and some cheap crackers. That's my move. And you know what? People eat it. They love that shit. I love the creativity though. That this is, I think, the perfect blend of maybe not having a ton of money, just kind of being middle row, but the creativity thanks to Pinterest. These women get creative. One of the coolest thing was I saw a buddy's wife started years ago bringing a more or less like a tackle box type thing, like a plastic organizer that would have like a killer spread from chips to pickles to like all sorts of stuff in this. I'm like, that's the coolest thing. Like you just bring it, you organize it, bloop, and then you just pack it up, gone. I like that.
The food spread is that's a good one, because that's usually what I judge whenever I go over there too. Is granted, I'm a picky eater, but I'm also like, what are you weird eating? Like, what is that? But I don't know. I can't think of anything. What about you, Brandon? I guess I can't really think of anything else.
So I want to add this and say something here. In your previous days before our herbal refreshments were legal, did you ever have to make trips over to your friend's house?
Yes.
And like my point with this is that I lived in Omaha and in Lincoln, so I had multiple different friends. I always went slumming when it came to that kind of things. I always felt like I was in a place I wouldn't normally be. Like I wouldn't be hanging out here if it wasn't for my herbal refreshments. You know what I mean? Like this guy wouldn't be my friend. And it's not that he wasn't a good guy or whatever else. It was just always like, kind of has this like tinge of like dog shit smell in here, a little bit like, I don't know. Is that mildew? Kind of a thing, a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. But when I'm walking in somebody's house, the first thing I notice is the drapes and the color of her hair, because I want to know, do they match? No, I'm kidding.
There it is.
The drapes, the curtains, like, are those the poor ones I would buy? Or did they go all out on that? Do they have a floating island in their kitchen? Like,
yeah.
Is their refrigerator filled with magnets and, Christmas cards and family pictures and things like that? Or is it like unkempt? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, is it like completely filled with like, okay, that was like your 6 years old drawing, and the paper's all curled and molded and mangled because it's all old and shit. It's probably 8 years old,
And another weird one. So I get where you're going now. So like, one thing that I always associated with, like, or I guess two things, was if they had a basketball hoop and it was in the concrete, like it was, you know what I mean? It wasn't one of the ones on the wheels or whatever. If it was one of those with the big glass back, I'm always like, you're wealthy. Okay. I like how much money you guys got. But then also a weird one, you were talking about these kitchen ones. For some reason, the little rack that goes above the island that hangs the pans and the pots and stuff like that, for some reason, because my mom always made like hamburger helper and just easy peasy meals and stuff, I always associated with, I'm like, that's a lot of pots and pans. Your mom really knows how to cook. You have a really nice upbringing. Like, your mom really loves you. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. Every time I saw that, I'm like, cherish that, you piece of shit. Don't be mean to your mom.
You have more than one. You have a pot and a pan, more than one.
And skillets, like these cast iron skillets and all these other different pots and pans. What?
That's what we do. We use all cast iron because they don't go bad. You know what I mean? And they're very cheap. And I've had the same cast iron skillet that I've had since probably 19 or 20. Still using it. Still looks good as long as you take care of it. And then, of course, the wife was complaining, I want to do this. So I found in the clearance aisle of Walmart an 8-piece or 12-piece set for $20. Nice. And they suck. Like, you're cooking with them and you can smell the chemicals and shit burning off it. I'm like, should have stuck with the cast iron, huh?
So I got two stories I want to share, and I don't mean to hijack this whole thing, but my wife she didn't grow up like I did. She grew up in a household where both of her parents worked their asses off. They were middle class. Dad was a barber. I think I've told this story. Mom worked customer service, but they lived in a nice neighborhood, and they never went without, et cetera, et cetera. They lived the normal American debt kind of, but then again, they bought their house in the late 80s, early 90s, which we'll never be able to do quite like they did. One day, when my wife and I started dating, about a year and a half in, I'm a little less naive than she was. She's not like this anymore. It's just the way it was. We attended at a hotel, a traveling convention sound bad already, where somebody was selling pans. These non-stick wonderful pans, and we ended up spending I think $1,700-$1,800, and those pans, I knew it. This is a bad idea, but she wanted them. These will be the only pans we ever have. They ended up in the back underneath our sink 3-4 years later, and we never used them because they were just shit pans. And we ended up paying, it was a lesson we paid. It was 12 years ago, so it's like water under the bridge, clearly. But I always remember back to that moment. So I'll meet you there. I'm also a cast iron guy. But going back to where we were, another thing I always judge folks on in their homes when I go in, and I said this on my radio show once and had people send pictures in because I just wanted to see what their answer was. But how stacked, cluttered, filled the top of their fridge is. Basically, the question was, what's on your fridge? Because I think that was kind of a fun thing. What do you put in your fridge? Oh, cereal boxes, or a glass bowl, or people had such a bunch of random shit. It was really kind of a fun experiment. But so if you have a cluttered refrigerator on top, that probably says to me some of these closets and things I'm going to open up, there's going to be a lot of clutter back here, and you're hiding shit. Is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, that's me. 100% messy fridge. I got the 12-year-old pieces of paper from the kids' artwork hanging, like you said, Chris. That's the thing. But what's crazy too is a lot of the fridges these days, they're made with the glass and all that stuff. You can't even hang magnets. Mm-hmm. The parent-in-laws, they get parent-in-laws. That's not the right word. Is that the right word? Anyway, father-in-law, mother-in-law, whatever. In-laws. The parent-in-laws. I just added it. I was fancying it up, putting a little, little sprinkle of some parsley on top of it. They got this new fridge, super fancy. It's glass. Can't put a single magnet, and they are magnet people. Usually we give them magnets to the kids for the school pictures and stuff. Can't hang them. Can't hang them up. It's crazy.
But I'm the same way. I have cereal boxes and a whole bunch of shit. Excuse me, on top of my refrigerator, and if you walk into my basement, you're going to be like, oh, this basement's pretty picked up. And then you open up the shoe closet and you're like, oh, dear God, they have a lot of shoes because a lot of different sports. Then you have the bags for their different ball games. And it's just, I don't know. If it's not in a garage, it's in a closet.
I hear. It's, like I said, our house isn't huge, but it's not small by any means. But it's just, there's a lot. Kids, the girls, and they're all girls, so they all have all the shoes, all the clothes, and they're a little bit older now, so it's not as much toys. We were able to get rid of those because young kid toys, as you know, Brandon, take up a lot of room, and they are tough to organize sometimes. But like I said, we're moving on from that, thankfully. Well, not thankfully, but whatever. And I don't know. I read somewhere that a messy house is a happy house, and I guess I don't really know what happiness is so, in that regard, because our house is usually messy, and I think they mean by it we're not stressing, we're not making the kids we're tidy your room, and it gets to a point where it's the teenager or somebody's room is absolutely disgusting, so it's listen, you got the weekend to clean it, or unfortunately we're taking the phone. It's up to you. I don't want to be those clean your room, it has to be this. Do I want them to be as clean as they can be? Yeah, we're not hoarder bad. But we're not you're not going to take a picture and put it in a magazine. If people come over, yeah, we throw some shit in some closets and make it look decent. But up here, it's usually outdoor chilling. You know what I mean? We got a nice back porch. It's got the fire pit. It's all enclosed. We got the backyard that's got another bonfire pit. And it's not so much just coming. We hang out in the kitchen. We don't have a fancy island or the shit over there. We have this old-ass huge table that my uncle made in shop class forever ago that my grandparents had. And I live in my grandparents', so it's a piece of I remember sitting as a kid around this table, So we have that, and that's just what we do. They always hung out in the kitchen. We're kitchen hanger-outers, Got TV out there. We watch our sports, have some food, just converse,
But we have an open kitchen and living room area, so that's where we're at. Now, I do have an island, but it's not fancy. But it's that's where we sit to eat, and we have a dining room and a table there, and the only time people eat there is whenever the kids have their slumber parties and stuff like that. It is purely there just as a piece of furniture. Otherwise, we eat at that island. We hang out at that island. We are an island boy.
Jesus. You throw in a bing bong. Bing bong, emotional damage.
Nostalgia. All right. Well, I looked at the clock for the very first time, and Brandon was right. This is and was a fun show. Man, you guys are lucky on the internet that we don't live a little bit closer, because we would do this more often in person and it would be even more fun. But, and as we're doing here, I just got a message. Hey, the fence is broke. So I know what I'm doing after some recordings. I'm going to go fix some fence in the 8-degree weather.
Oh. Yay!
Apologies to your penis.
All right. Well, Yuban, Brandon, appreciate you guys. Anybody listening? Appreciate you as well. Let us know where you kind of stand. Are you a messy fridge? What's on top of your fridge? What's in your fridge? Let us know, and we'll be back next week. Yuban, good luck warming up.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, everybody. We're out. Bye.